Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Coast News. And as always, we've got some amazing news from different theme parks, rides, attractions and events all over the world. So let's get straight into the news today. Our top story for tonight, Flamingo Land are seemingly demolishing the Lost River ride. And this just sort of came out of nowhere and sort of happens unexpectedly really. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically the Lost River ride is a water ride located at Flamingo Land in North Yorkshire. It is one of the most popular attractions at the park, and obviously one thing that makes it really unique, with it being a water ride, is that it interacts with the sort of zoo elements. It actually interacts with the animal sort of enclosure areas. It literally winds between past loads of different animals like lions and things like that, and it was one of the most popular attractions at the park. However, over obviously the last couple of years, it's been suffering quite a lot of technical issues. Most of the time I've visited Flamingo Land, it's just been closed because of technical issues, strangely. Obviously, it has been operating for many years, and obviously it's been closed the past couple of months, I think. And we thought it was just down because of it had needed to be fixed or something. But it seems over last few days, Flamingo Land have actually started to demolish the drop on Lost River ride. And we don't know why this is. They haven't said anything about it. But we think it's either gonna. The main rumours are that it's either gonna close permanently, or they are actually shortening the drop and changing the ride experience. I'm gonna reopen it as something else. We don't know what. But that's the main rumours at the moment. Now we don't know why this is going on. It might be, like I said earlier, it might be to do with technical costs and maintenance issues, things like that. Because obviously, if a ride breaks down quite a lot, and depending on how it breaks down, what caused it to break down, it could be very expensive. And obviously, we don't know what's going on with the ride at the moment. Like I said, it might be mechanical issues. But it might have just become too expensive to maintain. Or if they are shortening the drop and refurbishing it, then we'll just have to wait and see what they're doing. But obviously Flamingo Land, obviously when they opened Sick last year, that brought in so many visitors to the park. And obviously you'd think that they're just beginning of a new change for Flamingo Land. It might be, we don't know, they could be refurbishing it into a new attraction. But for now, we just have to wait and see what happens to the Lost River ride at Flamingo Land. In other news today, new details have been revealed about this year's fireworks at Alton Towers. And it's getting so near to the time of year where Alton Towers start putting on their spectacular fireworks display. Seriously, I'm not even joking. The fireworks at Alton Towers is literally one of the main highlights of the season at the theme park in terms of events. But obviously it's going to be absolutely amazing. There were some details that were revealed recently from the Stoke Sentinel, who were the same newsletter who reveals the new trains for Nemesis, which I'll talk about in a later video. But basically the statement says that this year's fireworks is going to have a fairy tale fantasy adventure theme. So it's going to have follow a specific storyline, which is interesting to see because I don't think we've really had that at a fireworks event before. I might be wrong, but not can I remember in recent memory. And also, just like last year, it's going to feature a brand new surprise element that's never been seen in any of the fireworks history of Alton Towers. Now, obviously, we know that last year they introduced the brand new element that was never seen at Alton Towers fireworks with the drones at the start of the show. Last year's fireworks was honestly breathtaking. It was probably best day at season last year, in my opinion. It was so amazing. It was so beautiful. It was honestly brilliant. I've actually got the full vlog of the fireworks, which shows the full show. You can go and watch it over in my vlogs on my channel. The point being, when Alton Towers do fireworks, they absolutely nail it. Even if this year hasn't been their best season in terms of ride operations, customer service, even events, I'm counting on fireworks this year to be an absolute banger of a show, because they always nail it perfectly. And this year sounds like it's going to be no exception. This year sounds amazing. Like, so we don't know what they mean by like a fantasy fairy tale theme for the fireworks show. That obviously means that we'll probably be like followed into like some kind of story. This say it's going to use various different film, pop, and like music soundtracks, and it's going to capture the imagination of the audience. Apparently, it sounds amazing what they're doing. It sounds very ambitious. Obviously, fireworks are usually amazing. I'm really looking forward to this year's fireworks. In fact, we'll actually be going to the fireworks at Alton Towers next week, because the fireworks event itself actually starts this time next week. So we'll be going for fireworks next week, but not before we go to Scarefest, which we'll be releasing a vlog of that very soon. But I cannot wait to see what Alton Towers has in store for fireworks 2023. Also in the news today, the white track is now being installed on Hyperia at Thorpe Park. And this is honestly just getting pretty amazing when you think about it, because of how huge this ride is going to be. And like literally, if you know what I'm talking about, basically Hyperia is a brand new roller coaster opening at Thorpe Park, which is located in Surrey, England. There's going to be a hyper coaster from Mack Rides, manufacturer Mack Rides, based in Germany. It's going to reach a maximum height of over 236 feet, which will make it the UK's tallest roller coaster. And it's going to be Thorpe Park's first roller coaster in, I think, 12 years by the time it opens. So it's going to be an absolutely monumental occasion for the park. That with the fact that they're rebranding the theme park's overall approach to marketing and the logo is going to be a historic year for Thorpe Park next year. And obviously Hyperia from what we learned in the plan document, it's going to have a similar sort of colour pattern to Stealth, in which the higher parts of the track are going to be white, and the lower sections, which are below the tree line, are going to be painted a different colour. In this case, with Hyperia, the lower parts are going to be painted gold. It's going to look really cool off-ride. And obviously, when they started vertical construction the other week, they started by building the Outer Banks dive element, I think that's what it's called, which is the part where it goes into a massive Outer Banks turn and then turns into an inversion which goes downwards, which has never been seen before on any roller coaster ever, and it looks really cool. And they started building that. The overall structure itself is going to be 165 foot tall. The supports for that ride have already been installed, and they've recently started installing the white track, so it's going to reach their maximum height soon. Thorpe Park have stated that this will be the tallest inversion in Europe and the 6th tallest inversion in the world. So it's going to be absolutely amazing. And what's kind of scary to actually think is that this isn't even the maximum height of the ride, and it already dwarfs its neighbour, Soar the Ride. Soar the Ride only being 100 foot tall, this element is 65 foot taller than Soar the Ride. It is already the 2nd tallest structure in Thorpe Park. It is 38 feet taller than the Swan, which was the 2nd tallest structure up until recently. So this ride is honestly going to be huge when they start building the lift and it's fully built. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I'm so glad that this country is getting a hypercoaster again. When the UK really needs something like this, and just massive, huge, tall and fast ride. Haven't really had anything like that in a while, so I'm so glad that the UK is getting a large-scale roller coaster again, and I cannot wait for Hyperia to open at Thorpe Park next season. And finally in the news today, the world's tallest freestanding roller coaster element is finally being installed on Falcon's fly at Six Flags Qiddiya. And this ride is going to be unrealistically mental when it opens next year. Within the next few years. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically Falcon's Flight is a brand new roller coaster from presumably Intamin. We don't have a lot of details on this ride, and photos of it are actually very hard to find online because it's in the middle of the desert. It's not. I don't think it's near any major roads or cities or anything like that. It's in the middle of nowhere in Saudi Arabia. But basically, it's being built by Intamin. It's part of a brand new theme park called Six Flags Qiddiya, which, interestingly, isn't actually owned by Six Flags, it just has their name on it. It's part of like a massive mega project being built in Saudi Arabia, which consists of loads of like mega infrastructure developments, and it's part of one massive, huge infrastructure project going on in Saudi Arabia that I think is supposed to be completed by 2030, and this theme park is just part of it. Obviously, we don't know when it's going to open, but I'd imagine within probably the next 3 or 4 years, maybe, if they get it done quickly. It's hard to tell because, like I said, photos of the whole construction is hard to find online. But the photos we do have, from what I can tell, it is actually coming along really nicely. We initially thought this wasn't going to happen, especially after COVID, when that just put a halt to all construction, because it was originally announced in 2019. And we thought that it wasn't going to happen for ever, really. But obviously a few months ago, vertical construction actually started, and I'm thinking, oh my word, this is actually getting built. And obviously, as we all know, when Falcon's flight was first announced, they said it was going to be the world's tallest, fastest and longest roller coaster. And it's getting built. And even recently, obviously the highest point of the ride is going to be located on top of a huge, like, sort of mountain thing, I don't know what you call it. It's going to be, I think it's going to be like over 600 foot tall, the highest point on the ride, but because that's on top of a mountain, it might be considered ground level. Either way, after that huge drop, it's going to be followed by a 530 foot airtime hill, which will still make it the world's tallest roller coaster either way. And they have recently started building the supports for that structure. I think it's pretty big at the moment. I think it's reached around 300 or 400 foot tall currently, and it still has yet to reach the maximum height. When this park opens, or if it does, because something might happen along the way, it's going to be insane. And the world's tallest, fastest and longest roller coaster records will be finally put into one roller coaster if Falcon's flight opens at Six Flags Qiddiya within the next few years, and I'm really excited to see it. So that is it for this week's episode of Coast News. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, then please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment what you would like to see in the next video. Bye!